Approximately 4,000 New Yorkers are seriously injured and more than 250 are killed each year in traffic crashes. On average, vehicles seriously injure or kill a New Yorker every 2 hours. Your choices matter. These are the stories of 5 families who lost loved ones in a traffic crash.
I was hitchhiking on a street in Cambridge in 1971. I was 21 and he was 22.
Mary Beth Kelly, partner of Carl Henry Nacht.
Henry was a New York City kid. He grew up on Bay 10th Street in Bensonhurst. He put himself through college and medical school by driving a New York City yellow cab.
Josbel fue mi primer hijo, era mi compañero.
Belkis and Jasiel Rivera, mother and brother of Josbel Rivera.
Luego de la muerte de mi esposo, Josbel ocupó el lugar de su padre. Puedo decir que era mi mejor amigo.
Back when we were living in an apartment, I have to carry her up and down the stairs because she can't
She didn't want to sleep.
She can't sleep. That's the way I got my exercises back then.
Amy, Shipei, and Preston Liao, mother, father, and brother of Allison Liao.
She definitely makes the life at home a little more interesting. Preston's definitely a lot more quieter. He listened to rules more. Allison was a little more on the rambunctious side.
He was an artist. He loved to paint.
Lizzie and Mumita Rahman, mother and sister of Asif Rahman.
My house was always full of noise, happy noises, laughter, and beatboxing, and him playing with his little brother, or, making fun of his sister.
She loved candy. I used to pick her up sometimes after school, and then I would take her to the store to buy her some candy. And I used to buy her a lot of candy. All those little things that you aren't supposed to eat because they're gonna mess up your teeth. And then when she finally got the job at Dillon's, it's kind of like, all right, that suits Renee very, very well.
Greg Thompson Jr., brother of Renee Thompson.
The best of us, I used to call her that. And it was always playful when I said it, but I meant it.
That was sort of an ordinary day in our lives.
I was in my room working, pretty ordinary day.
Allie was actually with Grandma's house because she liked to stay there anyway. And for us, at least we got a little time for ourselves to, at least focus on little tasks that we've been meaning to do.
I was trying to bake a gluten-free banana bread.
Yeah.
Henry called me before my last clients, and he said, hey, it's a gorgeous night. How about if you and I ride our bikes down the Greenway?
We get a text message from my nephew. We just kind of thought as one of those regular routines. We might have to go to the emergency room, but everything will be okay.
My father and my mother were rushing. They were getting dressed, rushing. They said, Renee is down at the precinct.
Somebody knocked on the door, and my little boy, Nafis, opened the door, and he told me, Mom, there are police.
I got woken up by my mother. She ran into my room, she opened the door, she was like, Chanel, Jasiel, get up, there's detectives here, and I think there's something wrong with your brother.
We did drive up to the emergency room. I think I dropped you off first.
Yeah, he dropped me off, and then I went in there, and there was Allie's shoes, and there was blood on it. I was just so dazed.
There's a light for anyone on the bike path, and it was green, and so we continued through the intersection, and all of a sudden there were headlights bearing down on us, and I slammed on my brakes, and I thought I was going to go flying right over my bike into this tow truck that was just taking the turn without any regard for the fact that we were there. And, we had blinking white lights on the front, and I stopped and I looked and I saw that Henry was probably not going to make it. And it hit him and it threw him into another tow truck that was parked there. And I threw my bike to the ground. I ran over to him and he was trying to get up and couldn't.
June 22, 2006, West Side Highway and 38th Street, Manhattan. Carl Henry Nacht, age 56, was hit and killed by a tow truck making a turn while he was riding his bike on the Greenway. Henry had the green light.
My mom kept screaming, "She's no longer with us. She's no longer with us." And I remember feeling really, really overwhelmed. Like, there's no way this could be happening. There's no way.
July 31st, 2013, 3rd Avenue and 60th Street, Manhattan. Renee Thompson, age 16, was hit and killed by a turning truck as she was crossing the street in the crosswalk. She was coming home from her job at Dylan's Candy Bar.
I guess one of the head doctors ended up coming over to us and had to explain that they've been working on Allie for at least a half an hour.
And they had to stop. And they were pumping her heart for half an hour, but it wouldn't start. And they gave her blood, but it wouldn't start. And I remember holding her arms and I said, "Take my blood." She said it wouldn't work.
October 6, 2013, Main Street and Cherry Avenue, Queens. Allison Liao, age 3, was hit and killed by a car making a left turn while she was crossing the street in the crosswalk with the walk signal. She was holding her grandmother's hand.
Es como que si de repente se te va la vida. Es un dolor que no tiene explicación. Es dolor, es angustia, es rabia a la misma vez. Es ¿por qué? Porque a mi hijo, porque murió de esa manera.
December 26, 2011, Mosholu Parkway and Paul Avenue, the Bronx. Jusbel Rivera, age 23, was killed in a hit-and-run as he crossed the street. Jusbel was left lying in the street for 2 hours before a person spotted him and called 911.
I don't really know. Maybe I'm a very hard person. I couldn't cry in front of the doctors. As soon as the doctors left the room, I was banging my head on the wall.
I went to go see my brother. I touched his face, kissed him. But that's it. You know, someone's gone, they're just gone, just like that. There's nothing you can do.
February 28, 2008, Queens Boulevard and 55th Road, Queens. Asif Rahman, age 22, was struck and killed by a truck while he was riding his bicycle on the street.
Everybody goes on, you know, with their lives the next day, don't know about this, don't know what happens, and the city seems like the same place, but it's never the same to us.
The dashboard camera of an approaching car recorded Allison Liao and her grandmother as they were struck by the vehicle.
We know now that definitely the car made a left turn, ran her over with the left front tire, and also ran her over with the rear tire too. So she was ran over twice that day. I think my mom was hysterical basically. She saw what exactly happened.
She's not the same person. We're not the same people.
Everything changed. Everything changed. Okay? I don't even know of anything that remained the same. Not about myself, not about my parents, not about Belinda. There is nothing that's the same anymore.
It could have been avoided if there was thoughtfulness, slowing down, looking. If we didn't assume that everything had to be done so damn fast.
I think what's so difficult about this is that it's preventable. This driver really made some bad decisions. Like, we know that there was alcohol in his system, however much that contributed to his being distracted when he was making the left turn. He's a driver that didn't make careful, conscious decisions.
You're in a car that weighs maybe a ton or two. You're protected. You're enclosed in steel and glass. A pedestrian is not. A bicyclist is not.
Vehicles are weapons. They can be just as destructive as a gun can be. If the driver that hit my sister was more considerate and he yielded, he just stopped, he paused for a second as he made the turn, then, maybe my sister would be here today.
Is it really worth it to try to rush through the red light? Is it worth it to get ahead of the car in front of you? Is it worth it to get around the cyclist, perhaps, that's sharing your lane?
We're all in this together, and we all share these streets. And if we harm someone in our community, we harm the community.
Todo el mundo tiene familia, tienen hermanos, tienen primos, tienen tíos, tienen madre, tienen hijos. Piensen en su familia. Piensen que ustedes no quieren ese dolor para su familia.
একটা প্রাণ যাওয়া মানে তার সাথে একটি পরিবার যাওয়া। আমার আসিফের সাথে আমাদের ফ্যামিলিটাও শেষ হয়ে গেছে। আপনারা সবাই চেষ্টা করবেন সাবধানে গাড়ি চালাতে।
Drive like your sister lived here.
Drive like your partner lives here.
Drive like your brother lives here.
Manejen como si sus hijos viven aquí.
গাড়ি চালানোর সময় মনে করবেন আপনার বাচ্চা এই পথেই।
Drive like your children live here.